Kerry and Senator McCain. Let's go to Capitol Hill right now. North Dakota's Republican Senator John Hoeven is joining us. Senator, thanks very much for coming in.
Good to be with you, Wolf.
Thank you. So where do you stand on the U.S. arming Ukraine right now?
Look, the primary thrust has to be economic and diplomatic sanctions, and I think that they can be effective. Certainly no one's talking boots on the ground, but we have to be careful about foreclosing any options. But there's no question that if we can get a united front with the EU and impose sanctions that go to banking and energy and some of these other areas, it will clearly have a deterrent effect on what Putin is doing.
You were just in Ukraine, and I know you're heading back. You're obviously interested in the subject, a very tense subject right now. So you heard Senator McCain make the case for at least the U.S. providing defensive weapons to Ukraine. Are you with McCain on that?
Well, I think we have to be careful to analyze what we can do to help. So we shouldn't foreclose that option. And I think that the sanctions that I'm talking about can be effective, but we also have to work with the EU on an energy plan, which is one of the things that I'm doing with our energy security legislation, in order to get them to stand with us in a united front on the kind of sanctions that I think, the kind of economic and diplomatic sanctions that I think can actually be effective.
So you have an open mind on defensive weapons for Ukraine, but on sanctions, the administration, together with the EU and others, they've imposed sanctions, the NATO allies. Have they not gone far enough? Is that what you're saying? Or are you satisfied with the level of sanctions imposed on Russia right now?
They haven't gone far enough. And as I listened to that exchange between Senator McCain and Secretary Kerry, they talked about Iran. One of the fundamental mistakes we've made with Iran is that we didn't keep the sanctions in place while negotiating. Sanctions take a long time to have an effect, but when you relax them, the relief is immediate. That's the mistake, and I think that's what Senator McCain was pointing out. So we've got to work to get these sanctions in place as a long-term strategy. We can't just kind of lurch from crisis to crisis. That doesn't work.
Senator Hoeven, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Wolf.
Up next.